Hello, everyone. It's 3:05 now, so I guess we have enough people to start. This is your C programming session. It's actually Maria who will be doing the actual tutoring. Maria is a maths major in Meredith College in Raleigh, North Carolina. She also double majored computer engineering in NC State. It's kind of a dual degree program. She has done programming in the last 2 semesters, so she will share her knowledge and skills. And it will be because we have different levels of kids, some middle school, some high school, and some in college. So she'll go easy, starting from scratch and teaching you the logistics and the development environment, and eventually gets into the actual coding. So with that, I will let Maria introduce herself and start. Go ahead, Maria.
Hi everyone, I'm Maria. As Asra said, I am a rising junior at NC State and Meredith College, majoring in math and computer engineering. Today we're gonna learn about C programming. I'm just gonna go over the base. We're just gonna go a little bit about the history of it, the use, the structure of the C programming, some examples, and how to install the software that I'm using to use the coding. So if you go for the history of the C programming, so the C programming was first developed by Dennis Ritchie in 1972. Before that, there were no C programmings, and it was hard to program any kind of operating system inside our computers. And C programming is a low-level access to memory. It is easy and it's clean. It is hard to understand, but it's also clean. How you understand what you put in is what you get out. And C++ is a superset of C, which is another part of C. They're similar but different in only a few parts. And since C is like the first programming language, like Java, JavaScript, and many other programs have taken some syntaxes and features and like structures that you use. And the use of C programming is to program your operating system. It is efficient for games, graphics, and so on. And it's major part of Windows, Linux, and Unix. Mac, I think, also uses C programming, but varies from things. I'm not sure about that one. So there are different structures for C. There's the header part, there's the main, there's the variable declaration, there's the body, and there's the return. The body is most of the time where we put our initial code in, but the header is an extension code, and it's usually end with .h, and different headers files have different names, and these are the few names that we use. The string is for like words and stuff like that. The maths is for mathematical operations, not the easy ones, but the more difficult ones. But the most common one that we use is the stdio.h. And the syntax that we use is the pound include. Sorry. And then we use pound include and then the extension file, so that we'll tell the C file where to get that from. We'll see this in an example. The second part is the main structure. The main structure is just that tells the programming language that this is the main part of the program that we want to like have an output of. So the syntax for this is int main, and in these parentheses we're gonna have words in them depending on what kind of program that we have, but most of the time we use void, and this curly braces is the where we put in our programs in. The third part is the variable declaration. This is the part where we declare different items of the program that we use. It can be numbers, it can be decimals. Integers and decimals are separated because C separates them into different categories to use two different syntaxes. There are strings. Strings is a fancy way of saying words. Characters are letters, any kind of punctuations, commas, and like addition signs and stuff like that. And string is, as we said, another fancy way of saying word. Int is for only using integers, and double is for using decimal points because C has to verify which kind of number that you're using. And the body paragraph, the body part of the C programming is where we actually write our program and what we want to do with the specific program that we're writing. We use it for manipulation, searching, sorting, printing, scanning. And this is where people do for graphic designs, gaming, where you write applications and different stuff like that. But since we're just going over the things, we're just gonna see a few examples and easy examples. We're not gonna go into deep to it today. And there are different syntaxes used on the body paragraph depending on what kind of program that you want to run. If it is math or like basic calculations, it's another syntax. If it is just printing out a sentence, it's another syntax. If it is a division, it's another syntax. Everything is different depending on what kind of program that you want to run. The last one is the return statement. This is just to tell the program that is ending and it should run and it's return. The inside of the return varies from thing to thing, but we usually use return 0 just for the beginning part of it. So for this, I use the Visual Studio Code by Microsoft. And for that, we use two different things. First, I'm just gonna show you. I have put these two links and you can find it in the C programming folder in the tech weekend of the drive that we use on Google Drive. So there are these two links. So first you go to this link and then you download the 64 plus 32 by one and then you install it. And what I did was I had a folder in my desktop which has C in it so that I can put everything inside that. And then the second one is you download the Visual Code. So you click this one, download it, put it in the same folder as you did before. And then after you download this, you'll come up with a new file. It doesn't look like this because I have my program in it, but you'll have a Visual Code like this. And then after that, you can come here and then you can search C/C++ and you install this. So this will help you debug and show you the errors of the different C codes that you want. And then you can also search here the code runner and then you choose the C code runner and install it. And this is what will help you run the code and see the output of it. So you have to install this to know what to see how the structure of C looks like. Otherwise, it's gonna look like a plain text. Come here, see the different colors. If you don't install C and specify it as a C file, you'll not see any of these colors. So it'll be a little confusing which part is which for a beginner. So this is a few examples that I have. So this is the header part. As we said, we say hashtag include. The comment is studio.au.h, which is an extension file. So we're telling C to include this extension file from the C language, and we use this angle braces to put it in. And this is the main part of the programming. So as we said, the syntax is int main and then int. So we do int main and then we do void. Void is usually what we use to show this is the main part of it. It differs from different things. This is only the beginning, so I'll not show you the other parts, but when you go deep into it, you say int main different things so that you'll have different sub main categories so that you will not have a long one, but you can divide them into different things so that you can run it. So for this one, we're just gonna print the statement hello world. Hello world is like a basic thing that you write in the beginning of every programming language. So we use printf. So it's telling the program to output the word hello world. So we use a parentheses every time that after the like a statement or a function that you want to pursue, you have to use parentheses, and this double quotation marks will tell our program language that you only want this part of the program to be printed out. You don't, when you print out, the quotation will not be inside. For you to print out quotations, you need to have other things involved. We'll see that next week. But for today, we're just gonna print out hello world. And then as you said, the return statement is the ending of it. And then we use return 0. So wait, and then after this, we run it. After we run, here at the bottom, it'll show us our output, hello world. So we can change it from different things. Like you can type in your name, type in anything else, and it'll output the thing that you put in your quotations. And don't forget, after every statement or every function that you have to put in a semicolon to say that is the end of this statement that I want to print or something like that. Otherwise, it will show you an error message so that you can put in a quotation. I mean, a semicolon. The second example is our new line. So to print out a new line, if we cancel, we have hello world with exclamation point and have fun with the scores. So you see there are two different lines. So we're used to saying like, oh, it's two different lines, so it'll output us two different lines. But if we run it, it'll actually show us to be hello world, have fun with the scores without any new line and without any spacing. So to put in a new line, C and other programming languages have a built-in syntax so that you can have a new line feature. So the new line feature is a /n, small letter n. So this syntax is saying, oh, print out a new line after this statement is being said. So it'll print out hello world with the exclamation point. The forward n will not be printed. It will just tell the program to go to another line and then print this line. So if we run this one, you'll see hello world, new line, have fun with this course. So this /n will just tell the program, oh, print out a new line, because the C program wants you to tell it every single thing that you want to do. If it's a new line. If it is words, print out words. If it's letters, you have to have different kind of syntaxes for characters. If it is numbers, different kind of syntax for numbers. If you want to put in quotations, you have to use /t, which we're going to see next week, so that you can have quotation marks inside, because as you see, these quotation marks are not being printed here. So if you want to print this one, the quotation marks, you have to use another syntax as N, which is a different kind of syntax we'll see later on. So you cannot just assume that it'll print out whatever you have in your screen. You have to tell it every single thing that you want to be printed exactly as you want it. Otherwise, you have something else that you were not expecting. So you have to be really careful in what you are writing and what you want to put up. The third example that we're going to see is a basic math operation. So this is where we see our declaration, variable declaration part of the program that we saw here. See variable declaration. So we say int, and then we have to name that thing. So I said int1, and I gave the variable 1, like the word 1 to be the value of 1, and int3 to be the value 3. So int is just saying, oh, the number is an integer and nothing else. If you want to make it a decimal, you have to use another syntax. If you want to make it a character like A or B or C or D, you have to use another syntax. If it's a word, you have to use another syntax. So now we want to do basic mathematical operations of addition, subtraction, and multiplication. Division is a little complicated, and not this one, because if the two numbers are integers, and if you divide like 5 by 2, the answer is 2.5. But since both 5 and 2 are integers, the output will become an integer as well. So you have to rearrange those things. So we'll see that later on of the course. So this %d are just saying fetch the number, whatever number you're gonna do. So let's say get one number, add with another number, and put out the sum of the two numbers. Same thing with this. Get a number, subtract with another number, put out the difference of the number, multiply it by another number, put out the product. So C is really case sensitive and like orientation sensitive. So like we said 1, 3, 1 plus 3. 1, 3, 1 minus 3, 1, 3, 1 times 3. So if you run this one, you'll get a basic math of 1 plus 3 is 4, 1 minus 3 is negative 2, 1 times 3 is 3. But if you change this one to 1 and this one to 3 and run the program, and then you change this one also to 1 minus 3 minus 1, then the output will be a different number. And that will be 2. So you have to make sure which one you want to become first. So even if I change this part to say like 1 and this one 3, and then I run the program, you expect it to become negative 2, but it will not become negative 2. You see it's like 1 minus 3. So if you do it in a calculator, 1 minus 3 is negative 2, but it's displaying 2 because here you said 3 minus 1. So you have to be careful on what you write, especially like addition and multiplication. They're commutative, so it's fine, but subtraction and division are not, so you have to be really careful on which one you want to write. So I'm just going to change this back to 1 minus 3. And if I change the 1, it's like capital O and E, to a small o and run the program, it's going to show me an error because this one is a small o, but I'm using capital O's. So the program's like, I don't know what a capital O and E is. I just know small o and e is equal to 1. So you have to be careful on what kind of things, because if I say int capital O and E is equal to 2 and then run my program, it's going to have a completely different result because I said capital O and 1 is 2, so it's going to put out 2. But if I change every one of them to small ones, small o's, I mean, sorry, O and smaller o, then I run the program. The how to run is just this play button at the top of 50%. If I change it to small o's, now all my numbers are changed to ones. So you have to be really careful on the capital and small letters, and it can also be letters. So I can say 1 1 and change everything to 1 1 1 1 1 and stuff like that. So the only wrong thing to do is the naming of like the declarations. Like I said, this one was small letter O N E, capital letter O N E, capital letter T H R E. So it can be anything from numbers, letters, but it cannot be any kind of characters. So you cannot use commas and stuff like that when naming your variable. You cannot use spaces. If you want to have a space, you have to use the underscore character, and it cannot be like 4 because 4 is a, so you cannot use 4 and stuff like that. So you have to be really careful on the naming of it. You'll get used to it once you're inside, like more get comfortable on programming it, but you have to be really careful because these two things are different than what we saw in the program. So this is how you do it. So don't forget, you have to go to the links that I posted. It's on the C programming folder of the Gmail, and then you download this one. As you saw, you download the second one that says 64 plus 32 GB, and then the visual code. I usually put them in the same folder so that I can find them easier. And then after you write your code, the one thing that you have to remember is, like, if I have a new code, and then if I write like include, it'll just, for this one it's purple, but here is just white. So how to make it like color coded and stuff like that is, you have your program here, you go here, save as, and then put it in the same folder as you have it before. And the type have to be C because we're doing C programming. So name it whatever you want, and then change the type because usually it says plain text. So change the type to C, save it. And then after you save it, it's gonna be colored. So you can see, oh, this is the header, this is the main part of it, this is the body, and this is my return statement and stuff like that. So one thing that you have to know is your code is always have to be inside this curly braces. Curly braces are like most of the time, oh, this is where my code starts and here's where my code ends. So run this thing for me first. So like when you go into like loops and stuff like that later on, we're gonna use this curly braces to show the loop, like only loop this part of the program and nothing else and stuff like that. So these things are like to include, like it's main this part. So it's telling us like, oh, this entire thing is in the main void part of the program. When you go deeper into it, they're gonna be main something else, main something else, and then you're gonna put it in curly braces, and that is going to show you, okay, so that part of the program is only this part, so don't go beyond this. So those are the basic things that you have to know for today. So new line, if you want a new line, just do not hit enter. You have to use the /n. / do not use backslash because that's a different thing. And for declaration, you have to be case sensitive and stuff like that. And don't forget your semicolons because it's telling you that is the finished, you have finished that line. And to go to the next line and process the next line. It's not telling it to print out the next line, it's telling it, oh, run the next line. So those are two different things. So do you have any questions?
Which version of the TDM GCC did you download?
So I searched what you did, and then you go to home. This one, the 9.20 release, and then if you click read more, it'll bring you here, and then you click this part.
The middle one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yes,
it's Saron. I have a question. What's the difference between Python and C?
So Python, it does not program your operating system. C is usually used to program your operating system, like the command lines and stuff like that. That will help you run your computer in general, like the graphics on your computer, the running programs on your computer, like Windows and stuff like that. If you have a window, those are usually programmed using C. But Python is usually programmed for like websites, designs and stuff like that that are going to be displayed on the screen, not what is behind the screen. C usually is what we use to program behind the screen. Is that clear?
Thank you.
Yeah, Emmanuel is online as well. He has used both Python extensively, so he can tell you more about it. Hey, Emmanuel, can you answer that question? Maybe more elaborate?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so they're both programming languages. From the perspective of you, the person programming them, the experience is pretty similar. You're writing lines of code, putting things in variables, adding them, manipulating them, and so on. It's just, yeah, like Maria said, what they end up being used for is different. C is like much older. C was developed like a few decades before Python was. And so it's closer to the hardware or the metal or like the actual computer that's running the code. It doesn't do as much of the it doesn't make things quite as easy for you as the programmer. But because of that, you're able to do a lot of things that make the code work really well or really fast. So whenever people need to do things really fast or really efficiently, like let's say you have a small little phone or a small little device, like, let's say, nowadays a lot of small, like normal everyday objects will have like a little screen and a little like display on them. Like, I don't know, your little handheld vacuum cleaner or, any sort of small everyday small device that doesn't have a big computer inside of it. It has like a little small tiny computer in it. People usually write C for that because it doesn't have a lot of resources, so it needs a language that can do things very fast with not much. Compared to C, Python is like a lot slower, but it's also a lot easier to write. So if you don't care that much about how fast your code is going to run, you just want something that's easy, then Python's the way to go. But if you want to make something more efficient and performs well and or needs to perform well, then C would be the choice today.
Any more questions? It can be how to install the Visual Code or how to write the code or different things?
Yeah, since it's new for some of them, it's kind of, not sure where to start, but you can go over the visual code and the debugger, how, you go about installing it and why you need it, and all sorts of things you can go over, and they will benefit from that repetition, okay?
If you have downloaded, let me try to open a new one. So when you first open your program, like the Visual Code, Studio Code, it looks like this. So you click this extension icon, and then you search.
Yeah, Maria, to get to that point, they have to go through some kind of installation and some kind of.
Well, I put in a link to go to this.
Okay, they have it in the drive, like the Google Drive. Okay, yes. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, and then you download it, and I usually put all of my downloaded items and my codes in the same folder so that I can find them easily. And then you download it, and after you download it, it looks like this. This welcome screen. So after you go to this welcome screen, you'll go to the extension part of it, and if you search C/C++, and then click on this one, that's this one, and then you hit install, and then it will install it for your Visual Code. So this helps you to debug your code, tell you the error of the code, what you missed, what is the, doesn't show you how to correct it, but it will show you what part you missed and which part needs to be corrected. And to run the code, you have to have another installation. So you search code runner, and you have this first code runner, and then you install it. So this will help you run C, C++, Java, and stuff like that. And then you install this. So this is the part that will help you run your program so that you can see the output as you did before. Then after that, you just click New Files, write your code as we did here. The simple code is hello world, write your code, and then you save it as we saw before, save as hello. I saved it as hello, and change the type to C so that you can, the computer understands the C language so that you can write in C. And then, yeah. And then to run it, there's this play button at the top. So you hit run, and then it will run, and then it will print hello world. You have to specify it as C because, as we said before, C is the oldest. So some programs have taken the similar syntaxes. Like if you remove this part of it and have only this part of it, this is a lot similar to Java. So that's why you need to specify it as a C type of language that you're gonna save to your computer.
There are so many editors and debuggers and that kind of thing. So can you tell them why you choose this and what options they have?
Yeah, there are different kinds of debuggers. There's like a Python, JavaScript, Java, PHP, and stuff like that. So since we're doing programming, we have to install the C one so that the Visual Code will understand, oh, she's doing C, so that I need to do the C syntaxes to tell that person if they're correct, or if there's a problem, here's the problem, so fix it. So that's why we need to install the C extension, because if you can search the Python one, and then you're gonna have a Python extension that'll help you with debugging and stuff like that of Python. You can have the Java one, and then there's gonna be a debugger for Java that you can install. So it'll debug it, tell you which part is wrong, if you did anything wrong, and if anything is not wrong, it'll do nothing, and then you can run it so that you can have an output. But the code runner that we have, this one runs all these things like C++, C, Java, JavaScript, PHP, Python. All of this can be run by the code runner. But for the program to debug it, you have to specify what kind of code that you want to run. If it is Python, you have to choose the Python extension. If it is C, as we use in this case, you have to choose the C extension. If it is Java, you have to use the Java extension, and so on.
I have another question.
Okay. Go on.
How do you go through the downloads of TDM GCC?
So I put in, if you click in this link, it will directly take you here. You'll have to search it. And then you click on the second part of it. And then it'll tell you to save it, save. And then after you save it, it'll download it for you. So after it finishes downloading, you say yes. And then you say create. And then you say next. And then I already installed it, but for you, hit next.
Yeah, you will mess up yours. So don't, yeah, you can back.
But it'll have its own browser in, and then you can next, and then it'll install for you, and then you say finish, and then you can go to the visual one and download it as the same.
For them to see the distinction.
Yeah.
You did the compiler. Now you show them the visual code the same way, but without going through the installation because you have done it already.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So can you? Yeah. Hey, Manuel, can you tell them about the visual code environment in general, why it's better than others, and what are the choices?
Yeah, so that Visual Studio Code thing, it's just a thing that lets you edit some text on a screen. And then it has some extensions, like Maria mentioned, which, highlight the text in the right color, just make it easier for you to write programs. And there's many others that do this. And Visual Studio Code, it's not necessarily better than any of them. It's just the one we chose. There's a bunch. There's some really good ones, and a lot of people use different ones. But really, all we need to do is just be able to write our program, and then have some stuff that makes it easier for us, so we don't have to manually move our files around and run them here, run them there. Just put everything in one place. And yeah, so it's just the one we chose for this that a lot of people use. It's not in the real world, it's not like everybody is using this. People use all sorts of different ones for different languages and that type of thing. So yeah, the reason that we use this is just to make things easier. It's not because we have to. If you see like on her screen, like on the left, it shows you all the files. In the middle, you see all the actual content of the program she was writing. On the bottom, you see when it ran, what the output was. So you see, it just puts it all in one place. It's like so for convenience. And then the coloring of the syntax. Like if you open this file in some other simpler editor, it would be all one color. Or even if when you open the file here and you didn't tell it it's a C file, it would all be one color. So then it's just a little bit less convenient to write. And yeah, so Visual Studio Code, again, it's just the text editor, and then it has some extensions to let you do stuff like color and display output and that type of thing.
Okay, I think this is question time now. More questions for Maria and Emmanuel. Anything, there is no dumb question. If you ask question today and you think it is not appropriate, it will be worse maybe a month later or a year later. So this is your chance to ask questions and find out. This is probably your first time you see C programming, so nobody expects anything from you, anything intelligent, anything smart. So you should be able to ask anything. If you don't understand something you saw, just ask. And questions are the main things for somebody's success in learning programming. In fact, it's universal for anything else. So go ahead and ask her. And then the rest of, I think we still have like 10 to 15 minutes. You just dig into your understanding, and if there's anything you're not sure about, just bring it up, okay?
I have a question.
Okay.
How did you, Maria, how did you like get into programming in general? Not just like C, but like how did you develop an interest for it, I guess?
The first program that I learned in general was HTML and JavaScript. I didn't go deep into JavaScript, but I did go deep in HTML, and I found it interesting. So that's what got me to do computer science and computer engineering in general. But I saw computer engineering has both the hardware part and some software part of computer in general, and I wanted to learn both sides of it. But the first program that I did was HTML, and we wrote that in Notepad and run it in a browser extension, which was, we didn't have like all this different extension cords and like different like runners as like Visual Code and stuff like that. But we use Notepad. But yeah, that was the first part that got me into programming.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I actually have a question.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be a sophomore next year, and I'm gonna take an engineering class. It's like intro to engineering.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just wondering, like, if this what we're learning right now, is it like how much is important or essential is it into that class that I'm gonna take next year? Do you think?
So is it just intro to engineering in general, or is it?
Yeah, most of it.
You might not have to take programming classes because it's general engineering, and most of the time the classes that take coding classes are electrical, computer engineering, computer science, something based on electronics. So depends on what kind of engineering path that you want to take. If you take electrical or computer engineering or computer science, you're going to see more of the programming side aspect of a computer, like C, C++, assembly language, and others.
Yeah. So like to give a little more detail, it's like your class is probably, the purpose of your class is probably just to give like an overview of all the different engineering disciplines, to introduce engineering as a whole. And so like you might not directly do the things that Maria went over today in that class, but it is related. So like let's say you take that class and they introduce all the different engineering disciplines like civil and mechanical, computer engineering, electrical, all those things. Literally all of those in the modern today in 2020, to do all of those things, you have to know program. or at least there is programming involved in how those are done in the real world. You know, programs are built to aid in the building of bridges and buildings and that type of thing for civil engineering. For mechanical engineering, every mechanical system almost in the world involves being programmed to some extent. And C is actually the most common language in that field. So yeah, like it won't, you might not directly write C in your intro engineering class, but knowing it will definitely give you a head start in understanding a lot of things.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Yeah, I guess when you keep quiet, it sounds like you understood everything. So we're going to give you exam now. How does that sound? I'm just kidding. But next week, Maria will come back with a more material, more rigorous things so that you can start programming. But in the meantime, you can download and set it up on your, today probably you were doing it from, you know, Notepad, iPad, or your cell phone. Yeah, I don't know where you joined from or what device you used, but you have, make sure you have a laptop of some sort and download the Visual Code as well as the C++, the C compiler, or they call it debugger, and make sure it works with the examples before you come back next week. In the meantime, if you have any problem, Maria will give you her email address at the end, and you will have to contact her or Emmanuel. I think most of you know Emmanuel's email address, so you contact them and try to resolve any issue you have, because from next Sunday onwards, you'll get into the nitty-gritty, the details of C language. Again, one more time, let me check if anyone has any question.
By the way, I put my email on the chat, and also if you need these examples, I put them in the folder as well. If you like, if you want to look at the examples, I've put them in different files inside the C programming folder in the drive.
Yeah, do you want to show them how they can access?
Yeah.
Okay. The Google Drive. Yeah. And again, I think I have seen more people than usual, so some of you may be new and you may not have access to the Google Drive. In that case, please send us your email address so that you will be added or you will be given access to the Google Drive, so that you can, not only for the C, but also other things we have done in the last two or 3 months. So you can go back and check the Python classes and materials, and you can go back and check other, STEM classes we had. That's including Saturday and Sunday sessions. Okay, go ahead, Mario.
Go to Google Drive and you click on the Shared with Me section. You can find the Tech Weekend folder. So if you click on the Tech Weekend folder, you have the C programming, which we're doing this week, but this all are the things that we did before. So if you did the C programming, this is the PowerPoint that I have, so you can find the links and the definitions of like different things that you want to read. But you have the C program here, the math that we did here, and the new line that we have here. So you can open it with different things, or you can download it and then after you download it, you can open it in the Visual Code Drive here. And you can also practice by typing in different words and like what the basic math, like different numbers and stuff like that, and try to type in yourself and see the different things. And don't forget, %d is only used for integers, and int is only used for integers. So if you want decimals, we haven't got over it yet, and we'll go over like next week. That int is only for integers, and %d is only saying fetch this particular integer. So it's only used for integers and nothing else.
Yeah, I get. Go ahead.
I have a question. I'm Lena, and first I would like to say thank you for giving us this opportunity. And so my first question is, how would you like us to send our emails to you, like our Gmails, to get the Google Drive material? So would you like us to like send it in the chat, or how would you like us to send our Gmails?
Yeah, chat will be easy. So go ahead and send it. And Maria also sent you the her email address, so you can email it to her as well. Okay.
Okay.
Either way is fine.
Lena.
Tadonai at iCloud.com. Is that yours?
No.
Oh,
I said Lena F and then I messed up, so I'm going
okay, no problem.
It's like the new one, lenafleca7@gmail.com.
Wonderful. Okay, that's good.
Okay, and then my second question is, I wasn't here when you were talking about the hashtag include part, so what does that mean?
The hashtag include like the SEO.h file.
Yeah.
Is an extension file that C has on its own. So we're telling it include this extension file when running this program, because this extension file changes depending on what kind of program that you're running. If it's like a mathematical equation with different kind of difficulties, you can have math.h. If it is different kinds of strings means words, you can have string.h. So the include is just telling us to include this extension file.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and she's if you look like at the later lines where printf is used, printf is what displays those numbers to the screen. Like when she runs the code, it says like 1, 2, 3, and so on. Where printf comes from, it's like it comes from that include stdio thing. If she didn't include that, then the language wouldn't know what she means by printf. So it's like the definition of all of those particular, of that printf function comes from that file. So it's kind of like saying include all this work that other people have already done so we can reuse it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's a good question. Now we're like almost at the top of the hour, so we're about to conclude. Before that, I would say we will continue next week the same time. This is for C programming, but remember that on Saturday we have the tech session. That's generally inviting people who are at the pinnacle of their profession. Like yesterday, we had a session by a scientist who is doing a lot of work in GMO, the genetically modified organisms. It's for modern agriculture. That was very interesting, and everybody was happy. So last week we did introduction to chip design, and the friend who ran that is actually working for Qualcomm, the premier chip manufacturer or chip design company which does the chip design. He's actually the engineer, well-known engineer there. So that is actually to make you exposed to these new technologies and things that people are working on, okay? And that helps you in choosing your major in college or what you want to learn in high school to prepare for that kind of thing. So next week, we're going to continue with that. But we have a friend who actually was a vice president of IBM. It's an Ethiopian or Eritrean heritage. She will be running some kind of discussion with you guys. So be prepared, especially be prepared on COVID-19. The more we have these technology sessions and somebody will come and talk and you will just listen, that may not be more productive. So we want to get into interactive things like, the presenter says something and you also say something, and that prepares you for college. In most colleges, Maria and Emmanuel can help me. It's more or less interactive. So you have to take the initiative and learn how to explain something, or, I guess you guys have that in your school as well. But a very important topic, and be prepared. It's mostly, as the weeks go by, I will, in the next 1 week, I will send you the details, but it's in general from what she explained to me, is discussion about COVID-19. So that is next Saturday. And a week after that, we will do something else in the medical field. A presenter will come up with some standardization, and we also have another one after that. We have three, four, 5 presenters lined up already. That's on Saturdays, but Sunday we'll continue with C programming for the month of June. Right at the end, we go back to Python, because Python, there are more and more people asking for Python. And I promised them that we will start in July. So that's all I have. Any question you have, you can ask me or Emmanuel or Maria. And just let me give you one more chance. Any question? All right, I guess that's all we have for today. And I just picked up your emails. So next, and then you will get the invitation. The way it works is that when we include your email address to the Google Drive, you will get invitation. So with that, you can access the drive, okay? It's not only for C++, or I mean C programming, sorry, I keep saying C++, that's not what I meant. C++ is another language, so don't worry about that. You will learn it probably down the road, but now focus on C programming. It's just I misspoke. But again, with the Google Drive, you will get your invitation, those of you who are new. And I have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 people whose email I already cut and pasted. Okay. Yeah, one more coming, that's good. So again, if you want to send it to Maria, she has her email address. You can copy it from the chat. mmaria.k.schifferow@gmail.com. She will actually add you to the Google Drive as well. Okay. All right. Thank you, Emmanuel. Thank you, Maria, and thank you everyone for attending this. It's really good. It's we have a record number of 29 people attending, and we are shooting for more people. The more, the better. Okay. All right. have a good afternoon and a good rest of the week. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Yes. Bye.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.